Hi everyone, I'm so happy that you're here to join me for the Way of the Animal podcast. Hello, how are we all? Today's topic is about being a highly sensitive person, which I am. And did you know that around 15 to 20% of people are highly sensitive? And this means that we process stimuli more deeply because of biological differences in our nervous system. It's something that is very close to my heart, being a highly sensitive person, and to recognise that some of our animals are also highly sensitive. And by no irony, I have a very highly sensitive dog in my life, Pip, who pops up quite a few times in this podcast. And that's because I learnt a lot from her. Being highly sensitive like I am, she mirrors a lot of the behaviours that I do that I don't realise that I'm doing. So she's shown me how overstimulated she can get and how she finds ways to help herself feel calmer again after being stimulated. I'd say that it's a more recent thing, like in the last 5 years or so, that I've really recognised how highly sensitive I am. And really for a long time, I've thought that, I just wasn't, I think people think that probably I'm a bit of a loner and, don't enjoy going out. And that's more to do with, I find that going out and doing things can be completely overstimulating and really tiring for me. I now recognise that I need to feel good before I even go into that, because it can really knock me back if I'm not feeling well enough to go out and enjoy being out. Simple day-to-day life things can feel really overwhelming. Just simply going to the supermarket and getting my shopping with all the people, the lights. I also have an incredible sense of smell. So all the scented products, going down the laundry liquid, all the laundry detergent aisle is just overpowering. And I never really understood why I hated going shopping. I mean, I don't think a lot of people like going shopping, but it was exhausting. But I feel now I am aware of how it makes me feel. I now know what I need to do afterwards to help me feel better. And I also know how to cope within the situation and understand why I feel like, because it quite often makes me feel quite anxious and then I can get quite grumpy because I'm just really struggling with the situation. And now that I understand that that's what's going on with me, it really helps me to sort of cope with it better, because I know why I'm feeling how I'm feeling instead of just feeling really awful and not understanding it. And I think, having spent most of my life not realising that I was highly sensitive, I think there's a lot of people that don't realise that they are. And I think it's an important thing to understand and recognise in yourself. So if you find spending a lot of time with people or, being around a lot of overstimulus, things like loud noises and I can't even think, there's a big list there, that it's just that you're highly sensitive, then you can really help yourself. And it's something that I notice as well with my dog Pip. She's also highly sensitive. So it's like that way, once you become overwhelmed, once she's become overwhelmed, she's just out, It's just like they talk about reactive dogs and things like that. And I think a lot of the quotation for me, reactive behaviours, is because they're overstimulated. It's just too much. At that point, I know all she needs is just space. Somewhere where she can go and decompress. And it's the same for me. Once I've been overstimulated, I just need to go and decompress. And if I don't get that decompression time, and if she doesn't get that decompression time, you don't let the cortisol levels drop back down. And so we actually start to feel worse and worse. It just keeps building and building and building. And it's funny, like, if I've got a few days where I've got to do a lot of things where it is going out and doing the things that I find harder to do, being highly sensitive, I definitely, each day it's getting harder and harder, even though I am like decompressing and resetting myself, it just never gets fully reset. And so, by the third day, it is so hard and I'm so drained. And tends to be if I've got a long run of a few days of something going on, things basically I find it stressful just being in those situations. Then I'm out. That the day after, I just need to not be doing anything and not be required to do anything. And I find that Pip's the same. If I can help her reset and come down, she feels good. And the next day she's fine. But if we have the same thing happening, so actually I'm just thinking of when we moved to Canada here, regular occurrence is afternoon thunderstorms. And we, a lot of the time they just completely miss us. But, some days it was just day after day. And you can see that she just wasn't able to reset herself fully. So each day she was more sensitive to it. And actually, I was really thinking of Pip the other day because Pip, we bred her. She was from our own dogs. And I remember we had a family come to choose out of her and another girl in the litter. And they had a young baby with them. And the baby made a cry noise and Pip just went and hid. It was just obviously too much for her. She just didn't know what to do with that. Whereas the other dog was, the other girl dog was really curious about it. And it just really showed, even from a very, very young age, how sensitive she was to things. And really, the reason that this topic's come up, I don't know if you can hear my voice, is I've had a cold. And that's involved really not feeling great and, coughing. And for some reason, this time round, the coughing, and I know what it is because I get frustrated with the coughing. So there's a lot of that sort of energy coming through. And unfortunately, she gets a bit upset about me coughing and gets worried about it. And I can see her discomfort in it. And it's interesting realizing how much that being highly sensitive, she is picking up on how I'm feeling. So one of the ways that I knew how sensitive she was is before I was fully aware of who I was and how I was being and how it was affecting others around me, I would notice that I'd be like, what is wrong with Pip? She's just behaving really weird at the moment, and thinking it's something to do with her. And then realizing that I was really anxious about something coming up and she was sensing that in me and she was therefore feeling anxious. Realizing that a lot of this highly sensitive stuff is about our ability to sort of tune it in and feel into what's happening. It's like a survival thing, if you know what I mean. It's like we are tuned in to know if there's danger and know if we're safe. And it's like empathy is also part of it. So I feel how others are feeling. I can feel the energies of people in the car next to me, behind me. And if someone's grumpy and road ragey behind me, I just want to get out of their way and get them moving away from me because I can feel their energy directing at me. Again, it's just another way that it feels very overwhelming because I'm just feeling what everyone else is feeling. And in the same way, that's the way that we would get that information and know how to act to be safe. So, like, Pip is thinking, oh, she's anxious, something's wrong, and now I'm worried that we're not safe. And how important it is to just know that what you're feeling isn't always your own, and that when you are overstimulated and feeling stressed, to really just take some time to slow down and to breathe and to be aware of who you are on the inside and not getting so caught up with all the overstimulus from the outside world. So, like Pip, I've realised that getting out in nature really helps to ground me and help me to feel better when I've been overstimulated by modern society, is the only way I can describe it, by all the lights, the people, the energies, the smells, the sights, the sounds, all that. And in nature, it's just a different kind of peace. It's a different kind of feeling. And certainly one of the things that I've noticed with the animals, that I don't know if you have with your animals, is if they've had a stressful situation happen to them, the next time they get outside, quite often they'll just want to roll on the earth and just be part of the earth or get in the water or something like that. And that's their way of just rubbing off all that energy that isn't right for them. All the feelings of anxiety, the stress, the tension, everything, they just rub off the ground. And I quite agree with them. It feels really good to just go and connect in with the earth, to sit on the earth, to lie on it. I mean, you can go and roll on it if you want, just whatever you need. Just go and sit by a tree, just listen to the birds, listen to the wind. Just being out in that peacefulness really helps me to feel more like me again. Because sometimes I feel like I lose myself in those situations. It's like I don't even feel like myself anymore. I'm feeling so much of everything else that's going on. It's so important to realize with you're highly sensitive as well, is that you tend to be a little bit more stressed if you're not careful, because every situation is just a little bit more overstimulating than normal. And also to realize that you can bring yourself back to who you are and who you truly are, and that balanced feeling within you very easily. But you just need to be aware of what is upsetting you. And the other thing that we tend to do is we tend to overthink. It's just like we have so much information coming into us from the stimuli of the outside world that we tend to sit in our brains and think about it a lot. It's like we're processing all that information and using that to determine, like I said, whether we're safe, what action we need to do next. And within that, we can get so trapped in our heads that we just, it's like you relive everything. You're continually worrying about something, or you're continuing on that stressful feeling because you're just thinking about all these things all the time. And I'm laughing because we always say, just let it go. And it's quite hard to let that go sometimes, to let those feelings go, to just come back to yourself. It's interesting watching what helps Pip come back and what helps her feel better. And then also I've been working on just like reading into more about creating sort of controlled stress within myself. And that's something that Wim Hof talks about with his cold showers and his breathing techniques and things. And it's just about stimulating parts of your natural processes that would ordinarily be stimulated when you get stressed and then come back down. And doing that in a controlled environment so you become more resilient at dealing with when you are stressed and coming back down. It's just like it's easier when you know what you're dealing with. It's easier when you are sort of controlling that part of you and it's being stimulated in a more controlled manner. It's easier then to bring your levels back down. And it's an interesting part of my journey, and I don't have any answers, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do. It's just something that I've been guided to look into. I certainly found the cold showers have been interesting, They certainly seem to help me to find that quietness, because you're concentrating on just breathing in cold water, and it can be pretty shocking. And I'm noticing it feels less shocking. It's now I'm quicker to find the peace. So it's quicker to go from that, oh my God, this is so cold. Oh, and like gasping for breath, because you have that gasping reflex when something's so cold and touches your skin. I notice now that it's like moments, seconds before I am in that calm, just quiet mode. And that's really, really interesting to me. And I'm hoping that it will help me when I do have stressful situations. I think one of the most important things to recognize is how important self-care is, especially for everyone. Self-care is important for everyone. It's a must. It's not a maybe I'll look after myself. You need, like, you're only you can help yourself, and only you can rely on you, and you need to feel good first. Like, it's like they always talk about it, the analogy of the plane, when the plane's going down and the oxygen masks drop, you put yours on and then you help other people put theirs on. It's the same with life. You need to put your oxygen mask on first. You need to look after yourself first, and then you can help other people. And then you can be the mum, the parent, the dad, whoever you are, the carer of the animals, whatever the job you do, the job you do, whatever you do, you need to look after yourself first, because then you can look after everything else so much better. You can be the better person. You can feel good while you're doing it, instead of feeling like it's a burden having to look after other people, or if that's what you feel it is sometimes, or that it's just draining doing what you're doing. And that's usually because you're already drained before you start helping other people. So you must look after yourself. That involves doing what you need to do to help yourself feel better. So, like I said, I like to, once I've been in town or I've been doing something really stressful, then I like to get out in nature, and that helps me to come back to me and feel better. Or I lie in a calming space in my own house and just breathe deeply, and sometimes I'll listen to a meditation, or sometimes I'll just lie there in silence just because I've had too much noise, And you just need that time to just breathe and decompress, have your favorite cup of tea, whatever you need just to slow down. And even 5 minutes can make the biggest difference in your life. And I think that we quite often feel like helping ourselves first feels very selfish, and we're not very good at looking after ourselves. And I've noticed, since I've taken a greater understanding about who I am and awareness of what triggers me and what I struggle with, then I'm able to help myself feel better after it, or even during it, before it. I'm getting better at being me. I'm getting better at living my life in a way that isn't so challenging anymore. And yes, I still get triggered, and I still have moments where I just haven't had that moment to really tune back into myself, and I'm completely overstimulated, and I'm completely just, I've lost it. But then when I start to come back, I'm like, oh yes, I remember, and I come back to who I am, and I slow everything down again. It's rushing, I find, so hard. If I'm rushing around trying to do something, that's like the hardest thing. I hate being late, and I hate being forced to rush. So I tend to over prepare in comparison, to help make sure that everything's ready. But you can't always control everything in your life, and just being aware that of what you need to feel better, what you need to help you feel good, and know that what you are experiencing in your life isn't always helpful for you, and to know what makes you feel better and what drains you, and then you can really work towards giving yourself the time you need when you've been doing things that are more draining, and focus on doing things that help you feel good more often, because life's short. The animals love to reset. They will always try and help themselves to get balanced and, back to their calm centered being. And if they can't do that, then they're really struggling. And I noticed that, like I said, with Pip, she's continuously getting overstimulated. She really struggles. I've noticed now that the way I approach how I help her, because I'm more aware of who she is and who I am, we're able to work together to help each other. And certainly even her getting triggered and being overstimulated, can make me feel really overstimulated too, because I'm an empath. I can feel what she's feeling and I know how hard it is for her. But I just know now I don't react, and we just go from, okay, this is what's happened, and we just move away, just calm down as fast as we can, as easy as we can, and it just really helps. So whether you're highly sensitive or not, I think the most important thing to get from this is to be aware of who you are, to be aware of what things drain you and what things fill you up. So just being aware of that can help you balance your life and help you to feel your best all the time. And also to notice it if you have animals in your life. Notice what they enjoy and helps them feel good, and what things trigger them, and know the best way to help them through their struggles and their situations too. And even to recognize, have you got a highly sensitive animal in your life? Pip's not my first one. I also had my old boy Cullen. He was very sensitive too. He was very much more sensitive to emotions. I mean, Pip's very sensitive to emotions, but he was very sensitive to emotions and taught me a lot about my emotional regulation and how much I project my emotions out. So yeah, have a think about how different situations in your life make you feel, how your animals feel. And yeah, I just wanted to bring being highly sensitive into your awareness, because perhaps people in your family, in your life, your friends are struggling with this and don't even know that that's what's happening with them. And I definitely think that having an awareness of what's going on really helps you to help yourself and to help your animals and to help everyone feel better. And that's the most important thing. We all want to feel good. That's what's important in life. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you may have gained something from it. And thank you for listening.